All right, let's crack this baby open. Packaging's blue and green, very Kosas. Here we have the bottle. I believe this is a frosted glass, and then you get a cap with it. And it also comes with a pump. It looks just like a big version of their Revealer concealer. So this is $42 and 36 shades if I counted correctly. I might not have, but I actually picked up the very lightest shade that they have, which is very light neutral. It's kind of rare for me to be the lightest shade. Usually I'm the second lightest. So if you are fairer than me, I will swatch this for you to share with you the depth of it. In terms of shades, I'd really like to see the shade range in person as well as like swatched all next to each other. I think they have a picture on Kosas' Instagram, but I picked up this shade because just by looking at the model wearing the lightest shade doesn't really have that fair of skin. So I figured that it ran maybe a little bit dark, and I feel like it does. And I usually get a warm undertone foundation because I am fair olive. That works best for me, but I went with neutral because I do find that the Kosas shades in their concealer, all of their complexion products usually run warm when they are neutral, so that's why I went neutral, and the shade's actually really good. So this is the shade 100 Neutral. I don't think I've found a foundation that matches me this well. Like, you can barely see it on my hand, which is a good thing, and once I put it on, it really does blend into my skin. So dare I say this has like a little bit of an olive undertone. It just matches me so well. I assume that it is a little bit olive. So we're gonna try this on. By the way, it's described as a clean, skin improving, medium coverage SPF 25 foundation and treatment with hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, peptide, squalene, B5, arnica, and caffeine. Medium coverage with a natural finish. So it does have that sunscreen, but it's a mineral sunscreen, which is good news. I personally break out to certain types of chemical sunscreens, so I'm glad that they kept this one mineral, so probably a lot more people could use it. I'm not sure how that affects the shades. Like, maybe it will make the deeper shades a little bit ashy. Again, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the shades in person. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully they had that figured out. But yeah, super excited. It is a skincare based foundation. As with most of Kosas' products, they do have those nice skincare ingredients, and going off the texture so far, this feels just like their Revealer concealer. So let's get this hair back, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dot a little bit on this side of my face, and I am going to be using my sponge today. This consistency is very liquidy, so I feel like a sponge just goes really nicely with it. I mean, look at this coverage. By the way, it doesn't have really a scent at all that I notice. And I just have moisturizer on. I didn't use any primer. So here's just half my face with the application. I love how this applies. Like, I'm in love with this texture. It is a little bit dewy, but this coverage, they say that it's medium coverage, and I feel like it is a very true medium. Some foundations nowadays I feel like say that they're medium and it's more of like a light coverage, but this is true medium. Like, with one layer, I basically covered up everything that I wanted to. Still some of my acne showing through, but that's fine. I love a medium coverage foundation. Personally, they're my favorite. I think they just nailed the finish and the coverage. I love how it looks. I'm so excited to see if this actually wears well, because if it does, the shade matches me pretty well. I will say, you can actually see it on my neck there. It's a smidge dark, and for this being the lightest shade, I wish they had more shades in the fair end of the shade range, because I would just maybe like a half shade lighter and it would match me really well. And again, if you are fairer than me, this might be a little bit dark. So let's go ahead and do this side of my face. This foundation you could really easily use with your fingers too. Not my favorite, but the texture really leans itself to that. I feel like this is just so quick to put on. So the finish is definitely dewy, but I love the look of it. If it does wear well, it's really comfortable. I will say it's not the most lightweight feeling foundation. Like, it does have a little bit more, it's not heavy, but it has more weight to it, maybe because of the more moisturizing ingredients. It just feels like a moisturizer on my skin personally, which is really nice. It feels like it's going to keep the moisture into my skin, and really nothing to complain about application wise. Coverage is great. It literally feels like their concealer in a foundation form, but my concern is, because I like the concealer for my face but not under my eyes because it creases a lot, I'm wondering if this foundation is going to crease just as much as the concealer. We'll see about that. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it just at this. I used about 2 pumps for my face, which was quite a lot. You could totally shear this down with 1 pump to make it more of like a light medium coverage, or continue to build it up, but I'm really happy with the coverage so far. And then just to conceal some blemishes, I'm going to see how their concealer works over this foundation. This is the shade 05N, which is lighter than the foundation. And I'm just gonna pop this on some blemishes. Like I mentioned, don't love this for under the eyes, but it's really beautiful on the face, especially if you have dry skin. For our under eye concealer, I have a new one, so I thought I would include it in this video as well. It's the LYS Beauty. This is the Triple Fix Full Coverage Brightening Concealer, another new launch that I picked up. This is the lightest shade, LG1. The packaging is triangular, which is really cool. And the wand is a little bit hard to get out, but it's kind of nice because I feel like it keeps it a bit cleaner. Lightest shade right there, LG1. Again, I feel like they could have done lighter shades in this, but I'm just going to use a little bit of this under my eyes. I have used this before. It claims to be full coverage. I don't really find that it's full coverage. I find that it's more of like a medium coverage, but we'll see. And I also feel like this works better if I let it sit for a little bit. So we're just gonna let it mellow on the under eyes before I blend it out. For a mini review of this, I am really liking it so far. I feel like I still need to test it, but I did say it's not really full coverage, it's more medium coverage, but it does have a really nice consistency and it doesn't seem to settle into my lines. So far so good. After the disappointing KVD Good Apple concealer, I'm glad this one did not like totally flop on me. I will keep you updated on this. But before I set my under eyes and the rest of my face, I'll go ahead and I'm gonna set my whole face actually, because that's what I usually do, but I'm going to go in around my nose, around my smile lines, and under my eyes, just to pick up extra product and smooth that area out, because that's where I get the most cakey, and I feel like that just helps the foundation wear better in the end, and I do this with everything. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm gonna set with the Ilia Soft Focus Finishing Powder because I'm super familiar with how it looks and wears on the skin, starting with my under eyes. And then I'm just pressing it into my T-zone basically with this Real Techniques under eye brush. This is the setting brush, right? Yeah, super classic brush. So I'm gonna do this half of my face with the Ilia setting powder, and then this side we'll try out the Kosas baked setting powder just to see how all their products work together. So then using the Cloud Set in Airy to set this side of my face, which is also the lightest shade of the powder. This sets down beautifully. Like, it did give me a matte finish now, which I like to start off with. If you want it to be more dewy, obviously just use less powder or don't set it, but for my skin, I just always need to set my foundation. Set down nicely. I don't feel like it took away coverage by setting it or anything. Like, my face looks super like airbrush right now. I'm gonna have to insert a close-up in a little bit of what the skin is looking like. By the way, since I just put this on, it's 3:33, so I will wear this to the very end of the night, probably till like midnight, and check in with you to see how it wore. Hopefully well. And I'm just bronzing with the Chantecaille Real Bronze. I didn't want to use any other cream products today just to see how this wears on its own. Then for blush, I'm gonna use the iconic London Silk Duo, using the blush shade here, which has a little bit of shimmer in it. And then just using the highlight in that little palette as well. My skin looks so healthy and airbrush right now. I'm kind of shook by it. Like, it almost got so much better once I set it. I really like the dewy finish unset, but for me, once it was set, it was like pores wear. Like, it did not accentuate any of my texture. My chin's maybe looking like a little bit weird, but everything else looks really, really good so far. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my face, and then we'll be back to do our first check-in, and yeah, see you then. All right, rest of my makeup is done. I did this look over on my Instagram if you're interested, but the foundation looks really good. Like, nothing is settled while I was doing the rest of my makeup. I will go ahead and insert a clip that I took on my phone so you can see the texture a little bit more, even though there's not a ton to show, just to show you like what my skin looks like a little bit better. So far so good. I can't wait to see how this wears, so I will see you all then. All right, so it's 12:10 in the morning, so I've been wearing the foundation for quite some time. I did not touch it at all. I did not blot it, literally nothing. And this is what we're looking like. First off, the whole face, there's some issues in the center, but the outer perimeter of the face looks so good. Like, especially with the Ilia powdered side, like, it did not wear off really at all. It looks pretty much the same as I put it on. I am getting like a little bit of bunching up in my smile lines and like right by my nose. I feel like that can be helped a lot with maybe like a primer or some different powders. That's really my only issue with it, and it's not super bad either for this amount of wear. Like I'm expecting that. It's definitely not terrible, but it's not like completely perfect either. I feel like the fact that the rest of my face looks so good, like I'm really not that mad about this. It did wear off like a little bit on my chin, but like the coverage stayed so well. My blush and bronzer is still like very much there, but there's just like this texture around my nose and mouth I feel like I could really smooth out. It's kind of just like the powder and the foundation mixing up. Yeah, like it looks so much better now that I did that. This looks super good. I'm really impressed. I was not wearing a mask, but I guess I'll just use like my sleeve to see if it'll transfer. Let me do my forehead since that gets pretty oily. I don't really feel like really transferred. Maybe like a tiny bit. I feel like if you didn't powder this, it would probably transfer a lot just because of the texture. But like with the powder, not really getting anything that like feels like it's gonna come off my face. But overall, I'm so surprised because Kosas is such a hit or miss brand for me. I either really like their products or really hate them, and I feel like this foundation is just really like enjoying it so far. I can't wait to continue using it and see with different primers like if I can get it to look even better, because I love the coverage. I think the shade is such a nice match for me, so I'm super excited, and I really like the skincare ingredients in it as well. Guys, very exciting. So I will go ahead and insert a clip of what my face is looking like on my phone so you can see the texture a little bit more. It's definitely this area that has just the most going on. Other than that, it's looking really good. I'm super excited about that. So yeah, that was it for today's video and wear test. I hope you found it helpful. I'm really enjoying this one so far. I will keep you updated, but thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.